I am sitting in a law office right now, staring across the table at my ex-wife. She looks confident, almost smug like she has already won. 6 years ago, I thought she was the woman I would grow old with. I never imagined that the person I loved most could betray me, and then try to destroy me with a baseless lawsuit. Today is the day the court will decide, and I have prepared something she does not know about. This story is not just about betrayal, it is about justice. Before we dive into what happened, I want to ask you something. Where are you watching this from? Drop a comment below and let me know. If you believe in justice and want to see how this unfolds, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Trust me, you will want to stick around for this one. Now let me take you back to the beginning and tell you how it all started. Let me take you back to the spring of 2017. I was living in Portland, Oregon, working as a software engineer for a mid-sized tech company. Life was steady, predictable, and honestly a bit lonely. I spent most of my time writing code fixing bugs and dreaming about something more. That something more walked into my life on a rainy Tuesday afternoon at a small coffee shop on Hawthorne Boulevard. Her name was Lydia. She had this energy about her like she could light up a room just by walking in. She was waiting in line behind me, and when I turned around our eyes met. She smiled, and I swear I forgot how to speak for a second. We started talking just small talk at first about the weather, the coffee, the usual Portland things. But there was something different about her. She was sharp, funny, and genuinely interested in what I had to say. She worked in marketing for a startup downtown, and she talked about her job with so much passion that I found myself hanging on every word. We exchanged numbers that day, and within a week we were inseparable. We went hiking along the Columbia River Gorge, cooked meals together in my tiny apartment, and spent hours talking about our dreams and fears. She told me she wanted to build a life with someone who truly understood her, someone who would support her ambitions. I told her I wanted a partner, someone to share the boring and beautiful moments of life with. It felt like we were building something real, something lasting. After a year of dating, I knew she was the one. I proposed to her on a quiet evening at Pittock Mansion, overlooking the city lights. She said yes, and I felt like the luckiest man alive. We got married in the spring of 2018. It was a small ceremony with close friends and family. Nothing extravagant, just intimate and perfect. We danced under string lights, ate too much cake, and promised each other forever. We bought a small house in the suburbs of Portland, a cozy two-bedroom place with a backyard. The mortgage payments were steep, but I was making around $90,000 a year, and Lydia was climbing the ladder at her company. She had recently been promoted to senior marketing manager, and I was so proud of her. We split the bills, shared household chores, and spent weekends planning for the future. We talked about having kids someday, maybe traveling to Europe, growing old together in that little house. I thought I had everything I ever wanted, but then things started to change. It was subtle at first, so subtle that I almost missed it. Around the end of 2020, Lydia started working late more often. She would come home at 10 or 11 at night, exhausted and distant. When I asked her about it, she said she was working on a big project, something that could really boost her career. I believed her. I wanted to believe her. I tried to be supportive. I would cook dinner and leave it in the fridge so she could eat when she got home. I told her I was proud of her, that I understood the pressure she was under. But something felt off. She was glued to her phone, constantly texting and checking messages. Whenever a notification popped up, she would flinch like she was afraid I might see it. When I asked who she was talking to, she would say it was work, always work. I wanted to trust her. I really did. But there was this nagging feeling in the back of my mind, a tiny voice, whispering that something was wrong. One evening I came home early. I had a meeting that got canceled, so I left the office around 5. When I walked into the house, I heard Lydia on the phone in the bedroom. Her voice was soft, almost tender, in a way she had not spoken to me in months. I stood outside the door, my heart pounding, and listened. She said, "I miss you too. No, he does not suspect anything. I will figure it out soon." My stomach dropped. I felt like I could not breathe. When she opened the door and saw me standing there, she jumped. For a split second, I saw panic in her eyes. But then she recovered, smiled, and said she was talking to a coworker about a surprise party for their boss. I wanted to believe her. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I was imagining things. But deep down, I knew something was very wrong. Over the next few weeks, I started paying closer attention. I noticed the faint smell of cologne on her cologne I did not wear. I saw her decline phone calls whenever I was nearby. I watched her smile at her screen in a way she had not smiled at me in a long time. I felt like I was losing her, and I did not know how to stop it. I told myself I was being irrational, that I should trust her. But the cracks in our marriage were already forming, and I could feel the foundation crumbling beneath my feet. The truth came crashing down on a cold February morning in 2021. Lydia had left for work in a hurry, and she forgot her laptop at home. I was getting ready to leave when I noticed it sitting open on the kitchen table. The screen was still on and I could see a chat window. I should not have looked. I know that. But something pulled me toward it, and when I saw the messages, my world shattered. The chat was with someone named Brandon. The messages were explicit, intimate, and undeniable. One message read, "Last night was amazing. I cannot wait to leave him and start our life together. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. I could not breathe." I scrolled up reading message after message. They had been seeing each other for months. They had gone on trips together. Trips, Lydia told me, were work conferences. They had planned a future together, a future that did not include me. I felt sick. I felt betrayed. I felt like everything I had believed in was a lie. I sat there for what felt like hours, staring at the screen. I did not know what to do. Part of me wanted to scream, to throw the laptop against the wall, to call her and demand answers. But another part of me just felt numb, like I was watching my life fall apart from a distance. When Lydia came home that evening, I was waiting for her. I had the laptop open on the table, the messages still on the screen. She walked in, saw it, and froze. Her face went pale. For a moment, neither of us said anything. Then I asked, "Who is Brandon?" She did not apologize. She did not cry or beg for forgiveness. Instead, she went on the offensive. She told me I was a boring husband, that I had no ambition, that all I ever did was sit in front of a computer and write code. She said Brandon understood her in ways I never could. He had big dreams, big plans. He was about to start his own company, and she wanted to be part of that. She said I had held her back, that she deserved more than what I could offer. Her words cut deeper than the betrayal itself. I had spent years trying to be a good husband, trying to support her, and this was how she saw me. I asked her if she wanted a divorce. She nodded and said, "I want a divorce. And I deserve half of everything." That was it. No remorse, no guilt, just cold calculation. She moved out the next day, went to live with Brandon, and I was left alone in the house we had built together. I felt like my entire world had collapsed. The divorce process started immediately. Lydia hired a lawyer named Douglas Hart, a man known for his aggressive tactics in divorce cases. I hired Sarah Kim, a lawyer with a reputation for being thorough and fair. The process was brutal. We had to divide everything: the house, the savings, the furniture. Oregon is a community property state, which meant Lydia was entitled to half of everything we owned, even though I had paid the majority of the mortgage and bills. It felt unfair, but I accepted it. I just wanted it to be over. But Lydia was not done. She did not just want half. She wanted to destroy me. A few weeks into the divorce process, I received a lawsuit. Lydia was suing me for emotional distress and financial control. She claimed that I had controlled the finances in our marriage, that I had not allowed her the freedom to spend money as she wished. She said I had caused her significant stress, which had led to mental health issues. She was demanding $50,000 in damages. I was in shock. None of it was true. We had a joint account. She had full access to our finances. She spent money freely on clothes, on dinners, on trips, with Brandon, as it turned out. But she had prepared for this. She had screenshots of texts and emails, messages she had fabricated or taken out of context to make it look like I was controlling. I could not believe it. The woman I had loved was now trying to ruin me. The next few months were the hardest of my life. I could not sleep. I could not focus at work. The legal fees were piling up, and I was burning through my savings just to defend myself. I felt hopeless. I felt like no matter what I did, she was going to win. My friends and family tried to support me, but I felt so alone. I kept asking myself, how did it come to this? How did the person I loved turn into someone I did not even recognize? Just when I thought things could not get any worse, I got a message from an unknown number. It was from a woman named Jessica. She said she knew about Lydia and Brandon, and she had information I needed to hear. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop downtown. When I arrived, Jessica was already there, sitting in the corner with a folder in front of her. She looked tired, like she had been carrying a heavy burden for a long time. Jessica told me she was Brandon's ex-wife. She said Brandon had cheated on her multiple times, and when she found out about Lydia, she started digging. What she found was shocking. Brandon was not the successful entrepreneur Lydia thought he was. He was drowning in debt, had a serious gambling problem, and was barely keeping his head above water. He had no plans to start a company. He was lying to Lydia just like he had lied to Jessica. But that was not all. Jessica handed me the folder. Inside were emails between Brandon and Lydia. In those emails, they had discussed a plan to sue me and take as much money as possible. They planned to use that money to pay off Brandon's debts and start fresh somewhere else. Lydia knew about Brandon's financial troubles, but she believed that once they got my money, everything would be fine. Jessica also showed me text messages between Brandon and another woman. Even while he was living with Lydia, he was cheating on her too. I could not believe what I was reading. Lydia had not just betrayed me. She had been played by Brandon, and now she was trying to drag me down with her. I thanked Jessica for coming forward. She said she did it because she knew what it felt like to be lied to be manipulated. She said she hoped I would get the justice I deserved. I immediately called Sarah and showed her everything Jessica had given me. Sarah's eyes lit up. She said this was exactly what we needed. We could not only defend against Lydia's lawsuit, we could go on the offensive. We could prove that she had filed a fraudulent claim with the intent to defraud me. Sarah started preparing our case, gathering witnesses, organizing the evidence. For the first time in months, I felt a glimmer of hope. The court date was set for August of 2021. As the day approached, I felt a mix of anxiety and anticipation. I knew the truth was on my side, but I also knew that court cases could be unpredictable. On the morning of the hearing, I put on my best suit, took a deep breath, and walked into the courtroom. Lydia was already there, sitting next to Douglas. She looked calm, confident, like she had already won. She did not even glance at me. The hearing began. Douglas presented Lydia's case, painting me as a controlling, manipulative husband who had caused her immense suffering. Lydia sat there playing the role of the victim perfectly. She looked fragile, hurt, like she had been through hell. I watched her and I felt nothing but sadness. This was not the woman I married. This was someone I did not know. Then it was Sarah's turn. She started by presenting evidence of our joint bank account, showing that Lydia had full access and had spent freely throughout our marriage. She showed credit card statements, receipts, proof that I had never controlled her spending. The judge listened carefully, taking notes. Then Sarah dropped the bombshell. She presented the emails between Lydia and Brandon, the ones where they discussed suing me to get money. She explained Brandon's financial situation, his debts, his lies. She showed the text messages between Brandon and the other woman, proving that he was cheating on Lydia even as they planned their future together. The courtroom went silent. Lydia's face went white. Douglas tried to object, tried to argue that the emails were taken out of context, but the evidence was too clear. The judge asked Lydia to explain herself. She stammered, tried to say it was a misunderstanding, but she could not. The truth was right there in black and white, Sarah continued. She presented testimony from my coworkers, people who knew me and could vouch for my character. She showed records of my financial responsibility, my consistent mortgage payments, my contributions to our household. She painted a picture of a man who had done everything right, only to be betrayed, and then falsely accused. When Sarah finished, the judge took a moment to review the evidence. Then he looked at Lydia and said, "I find your claims to be without merit and frankly fraudulent. Not only am I dismissing your lawsuit, but I am ordering you to pay the defendant's legal fees." The total came to $25,000. The judge also ruled on the division of assets. Because Lydia had acted in bad faith, the judge awarded me the house and the majority of our shared assets. Lydia would receive only a small portion, just enough to help her start over. I sat there stunned. I had won. Justice had been served. Lydia looked like she was in shock. Douglas gathered his papers and left quickly. Lydia sat there for a moment, then stood up and walked out without saying a word. I felt a wave of relief wash over me. It was finally over. The months after the trial were strange. I had won in court, but emotionally I was still processing everything. I kept replaying the whole ordeal in my mind, wondering what I could have done differently, whether I had missed signs earlier. But my therapist helped me realize that I was not to blame. Lydia had made her choices, and I had done everything I could to be a good partner. I heard through mutual friends that Lydia's life had fallen apart after the trial. Brandon left her almost immediately, once he realized she did not have any money. He moved to another state, leaving her to deal with the fallout alone. She lost her job because the scandal had damaged her reputation and affected her company's image. She had to move back in with her parents and start from scratch. I did not feel satisfied hearing this. I just felt sad for her. She had thrown away everything for a man who never cared about her, and now she had nothing. As for me, I focused on healing. The first few months were hard. The house felt empty and cold, filled with memories I was not ready to face. I went to therapy twice a week, talking through my feelings of betrayal, anger, and loss. My therapist helped me understand that healing was not linear, that some days would be harder than others. Slowly, I started to rebuild my life. I threw myself into self-care. I started going to the gym regularly, lifting weights, running, pushing my body to its limits. Physical exercise became my outlet, a way to release the anger and pain I had been carrying. I also rediscovered my love for the outdoors. I went hiking every weekend, exploring trails I had never been to before. There was something therapeutic about being in nature, away from the noise and chaos of the city. I reconnected with old friends, people I had neglected during my marriage. They welcomed me back with open arms, inviting me to dinners, game nights, and weekend trips. I also joined a running club where I met new people who shared my interests. These connections reminded me that I was not alone, that there were good people in the world who genuinely cared about me. At work, things started looking up too. I was promoted to senior engineer, given more responsibility and a significant raise. I poured my energy into projects, finding satisfaction in solving complex problems and building something meaningful. My coworkers became friends, and I felt a sense of purpose I had not felt in a long time. About a year after the trial, I realized something important. I was happy. Not just okay, not just surviving, but genuinely happy. I had built a life for myself that was full and meaningful. Without Lydia, without the toxicity of that relationship, I was free. I was no longer haunted by the betrayal. I had forgiven her, not because she deserved it, but because I deserved peace. Holding on to anger and resentment was only hurting me, and I was done letting her have power over my life. Looking back now, I can see that losing Lydia was not a loss at all. It was a liberation. She showed me who she really was, and as painful as it was, I am grateful I found out when I did. I could have spent more years in a marriage built on lies, wasting my time with someone who did not truly love or respect me. Instead, I got out. I fought for myself, and I won. I learned some important lessons through all of this. I learned that betrayal is a part of life, something that can happen to anyone, no matter how careful you are. But what matters is how you respond to it. I chose to stand up for myself, to fight for the truth, to trust in the legal system, even when it felt hopeless. And in the end, justice prevailed. I also learned that revenge is not the answer. I could have tried to destroy Lydia the way she tried to destroy me, but that would have only made me bitter and angry. Instead, I let the truth speak for itself, and that was enough. I walked away with my integrity intact, and that is worth more than any amount of money or satisfaction I could have gotten from revenge. Most importantly, I learned to protect myself. I learned that trust is important, but so are boundaries. I learned to pay attention to red flags, to listen to my gut when something feels off. I learned that it is okay to put myself first, to prioritize my own well-being over keeping the peace. Today, I am living my best life. I am in a good place, mentally, emotionally, and financially. I have a solid group of friends, a fulfilling career, and a sense of inner peace that I never had during my marriage. I am not in a rush to date again. I am taking my time, focusing on myself, making sure that when I do open my heart to someone new, it will be to someone who truly deserves it. If you are going through something similar right now, if you are dealing with betrayal, a difficult divorce, or a legal battle that feels impossible to win, I want you to remember this. The truth always comes out. Justice, though it may be slow, will find its way. Stay strong, stay honest, and never let anyone take away your peace. You deserve better, and better is out there waiting for you. And as for me, I am doing just fine. Better than fine, actually. I am free. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced betrayal in a relationship? How did you handle it? Drop a comment below and share your story. If this video resonated with you, please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories, like this one. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, share this video with them. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all strength, peace, and the courage to stand up for what is right. Take care, and remember, you are stronger than you think.